in the C4 plants or the C4 pathway, uptake of carbon dioxide or the initial fixation of carbon dioxide is separated in space from fixation of carbon dioxide in the Calvin cycle. Another adaptation of the C4 cycle is what we call as the CAM cycle or the CAM pathway. And the only difference between the C4 and the CAM pathway is that in CAM or the CAM pathway, the carbon dioxide uptake, the initial uptake of carbon dioxide, is not separated in space but rather is separated in time from the fixation of carbon dioxide into the Calvin cycle, which means that your atmospheric carbon dioxide is fixed at night when the stomata remains open, and your Calvin cycle takes place during the day when the stomata is closed. Now, why does this happen? Now, this takes place in plants which grow in very, very hot conditions, in xeric conditions. And under these conditions, due to the extreme heat during the daytime, the stomata are closed to avoid loss or excess loss of water due to transpiration. So when the stomata are closed, there can be no exchange of gases such as carbon dioxide or oxygen, and therefore your carbon dioxide also cannot enter into the plant tissues. But at night, when the stomata are opened, atmospheric carbon dioxide can enter into the tissues, into the mesophyll cells, and then this carbon dioxide is again fixed by phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase. It is fixed to phosphoenol pyruvate, and this phosphoenol pyruvate is converted to oxaloacetate, which is then converted to malate. At night, this malate is then stored in the vacuole of the mesophyll cells, and the reason it is stored in the vacuole is because the plant will not utilize this malic acid at night. And the reason is that because the plant requires your ATP and NADPH to drive the Calvin cycle, and this ATP and NADPH is only produced during the light dependent reaction of photosynthesis. So the malic acid or the malate will sit in the vacuole and will remain in the vacuole till the daytime when light is available for carrying out the light dependent reactions of photosynthesis. So when you have daytime, although the stomata are closed, this malic acid will move out of the vacuole, converted to malate, and this malate will then be decarboxylated to give you your carbon dioxide, and then this carbon dioxide can then enter into the Calvin cycle or the Calvin-Benzal cycle, or what we know as the C3 cycle, and then it can undergo the C3 cycle assimilation by the C3 cycle, because now you have ATP and NADPH available to drive the Calvin cycle. So when you look at the CAM pathway, what you start to see is that the initial fixation of atmospheric carbon dioxide and the Calvin cycle are separated not in space because they take place in the same cell, but rather they are separated in time. One takes place during the daytime and another one takes place during the nighttime. So in the nighttime, you have fixation of carbon dioxide, atmospheric carbon dioxide, and in the daytime, you have the Calvin cycle. So when you start looking at a few examples, then we see that most of the crops that we have are C3 crops. So your rice, your wheat, your oats, your barley, they are all C3 plants, and they suffer from the problem of photorespiration. On the other hand, maize, sugarcane, millet, members of Poaceae, they have evolved the C4 pathway of carbon dioxide fixation and carbon dioxide assimilation. And when you look at CAM, then you have plants belonging to these families that undertake this particular pathway of carbon dioxide assimilation. So what we see here is that the differences that you have between C3 and C4 is that in C3, the initial carbon dioxide fixation and the Calvin cycle takes place in two different places, which are separated in space, the mesophyll cell chloroplast and the bundle sheath cell chloroplast, whereas in CAM you have separation in time between fixation of carbon dioxide and the Calvin cycle. And the particular feature of C4 plants, which is the Kranz anatomy, is what facilitates the spatial separation of the carbon dioxide assimilation in the C4 plants. If you liked this video, then do not forget to like and comment. Subscribe to my channel to watch upcoming videos.